Why was it selected? It was selected to the wrong microphone. And now you're not focusing again. Focus, 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 focus. Oh. Look at me. Look at me more. Look at me. It's unfocused again. You should stay there now. Now you're on me. Like, what if I cover my face? Okay, you just focus on my hands. Weirdo, stop looking at my hands. Hello. If you're seeing this, I'm going to explain my game to you with all your little fancy pictures. Oh. Warning, everything I do and say in this video is subject to change. Every single rule I make, every single just little tiny tweak. This video is private, so you guys are so special. This is you guys are the only guys who are gonna see this video. Isn't that so cool? You're so special. Why are my lips so red? It looks like I have lipstick on. So let's talk about the game. Oh wait, hold on. So let's talk about the cards first. On cards, there are four main stats. Four? There are four main stats. There are four main stats that you want to know. There's the HP, which stands for health points. There is the AP, which stands for armor penetration. AC, which stands for armor class. And finally, DMG, which stands for damage. Why does that have three letters in its acronym? I don't know. I felt spicy. I've got a ring burnt into my vision. You did this to me. These attributes of the card can go up to 10, except HP. HP can go higher than 10. But all of them base around 0 to 10, usually. Sometimes, when I feel like it. Let's go into a little bit more detail on what the card's statistics actually mean. HP, health points, is pretty self-explanatory. It's how much health a card has. If when health reaches 0, it goes to your graveyard. I'll explain a bit more about the graveyard later. Armor penetration, a little bit more tricky since it relates to the AC, armor class. The AP of a card shows whether or not it will do full damage or half damage to an enemy opponent's card. If the AP is the same or higher than an opponent's AC, it will do full damage. If it is below an enemy opponent's AC, it will only do half damage. Damage is your main damage for other cards. So when you attack cards and you deal damage to them, that's the damage you'll be dealing. Now that we've covered all four of the main, statistics, the really important ones, let's talk about some other important statistics. Let's talk about the cost of the card, which is in the top right. The cost number on a card is how much land you need to summon that character in a fight. We'll get to that soon. Just think land and cost are connected. The name of a card, which is the header here, is what you'll be calling a card when you play it. You should be anyway. Underneath the name, just below the picture, are its attributes. Attributes kind of classify what the card is. The attribute of the infantry card says that it is a unit, it goes on land, and it is soft. What being a unit means is just the classification of a card that is on the battlefield in a fight. The land classification on a card is just so you know that it is on land. It also helps classify if it gets affected by support cards, which we'll touch on later. And what do I mean by soft? A bit weird, I know. It's weird to call a lot of men soft. The soft attribute on a card generally means it's an unarmored unit. And what it does is similar to, land. It helps classify it as like a thing to support cards. We love small dogs. I'm recording.
Which one do you want?
Can you see it? Okay. Just got a brownie, that's sick. And just below that, there is the traits. Traits of a card basically just means something special that card can do. Just below that, there is the flavor text. The flavor text is just some funny thing that I thought would be funny. There is a couple jokes in there, some steered towards, family stuff, and others that are just corny, random military stuff that I've decided to throw in there because why not? And then just below that, there is something that will be important later, which is the symbol. For some reason on the prototypes it's white. It shouldn't be. I don't know why it's white. It should be black, like you can see right now. It should be black, but it's not. Don't know why it's white, but it's white. What these symbols mean is, it just means how that card traverses. For example, tanks will have a tank resembling tank treads, you know, the treaded stuff on a tank. Tired vehicles will have tires. Air vehicles will have a little air symbol, Spitfire, whatever. And finally, people will have a boot, because they walk. They on their little booties. Now that I've described this type of card, let me describe another type of card, which is the support cards. Support cards are a bit harder to understand, and you might not use them as much because of this, and that's fine. Support cards are a little harder to understand because it's a very meta thing that you have to do with them. And what I mean by this is... Hello, Future Tyler here in my fluffy attire. Past me was wrong. Anytime you see me in this, it's future me correcting something I did wrong in the past. I explained the support cards really bad. Oh, really bad. I explained support cards really bad in the past, so I'm going to do it again. Support cards are very similar to unit cards in the way that you... Can you shut up? Support cards are really similar to unit cards in the way that you spend them. However, the way that they are counted is different. Instead of being on the field, you play them as a sort of limited time event. Let's say there's an enemy tank on the enemy team, and you just can't just destroy it with your units, and it's frustrating you. So what you can do is you can play Precise Bombardment, a support card. You can play it down with the cost of 2 land. This will then play an event where, if uncountered, it will swoop down and destroy that tank for you. What the enemy can do in response to your Precise Bombardment is play another support card in counter, that being Superior Air Support. You see, Superior Air Support can counter other air support cards, Precise Bombardment being as such. And if they play Superior Air Support to your Precise Bombardment, it will destroy your Precise Bombardment and you can never use it again. Let me tell you all about the graveyard again. When a card enters the graveyard, they cannot leave unless a support card tells them to do otherwise, which is not in the prototype, so ignore I just said that. But if they go into the graveyard, they cannot get out for the rest of the game. Mind you, for the rest of the game, they are in the graveyard and cannot be saved. After talking about the cards, let's talk about how you get them, what your limit is, and what you do with them. At the very start of a game, you should pick 20 of the aforementioned cards. There's no limit on what cards you can pick. You can pick like 20 Valentine tanks if you want, but it's not very smart because you're not going to be able to play them at the start of a game, so you should probably diversify what you bring in. Remember, everything that you bring in can be removed from the game completely. So make sure to bring not only duplicates of everything you own, but also diversify it quite a bit. If you don't know what the cards do, or you don't know if they're going to be good, don't worry. Experiment a little bit. It's part of the fun. It's part of what makes playing a new game is fun. It also helps me analyze your gameplay and see if the cards are balanced. If a card's bad, and you think it's bad, bring it. I could buff it, or change it, or maybe give it a completely different look, or change, or something. You playing and you being bad at the game is good for me and for you. Getting better at the game, it helps me learn how other people play the game, so I can balance it differently. So don't be scared if you're just if you feel pretty pressured going in, or you don't know what you're doing, or you think you're going to be bad. Trust me, it's fine. If you're bad, it's fine. Everyone is. This game doesn't exist to anyone but you guys, so play with it. You know, have fun. Anyway, so once you've picked your 20 cards, it's now time to start the game. In front of you, there'll now be the 9x9 grid map that I've probably showed you all already. And the way this works is, at the same time, you must declare which square on the grid you want to claim. Be mindful, you can't go diagonal. If the land that you just voted on is unclaimed, aka it's just white with nothing on it, no one owns it, you may claim it and grab a land. Also, I don't know if I'm going to keep this, but we're probably going to make the claiming teams monopoly houses and hotels. So, for example, you'll be on green house team, and you'll with every land you own, you place your green house on it, and vice versa with red. But if you do vote on a contested land, one with the opposite team's house on it, you now have went into a fight where you are the attacker, since you attacked them. As an attacker, you go last, which basically means that your enemy goes first. Going into a fight, you can choose what cards you want to bring into that fight. Make sure not to bring all your cards. Bringing all your cards is a massively bad idea, since if you lose a fight, all cards you brought into that fight will be destroyed. Meaning that you don't want to go into your first fight with all your cards, then all of them be destroyed immediately. So you're just completely useless for the rest of the game and you'll just lose immediately. Be smart with it. Make sure you bring only what you need, what you can afford. The way the turns work is your enemy will go first, since he, like I said, he's on defense. They will then play what cards they can afford with their land. Don't worry yet, since once you deploy a card, they can't attack immediately. Once they have spent all their current land, it is the end of their turn and it is now your turn, and you have to do the same. You have to go into your brought in deck and play a card that you think would be helpful. Once you've spent all your land, you cannot attack yet. This is because your troops are recovering from the travel, so they cannot attack on their first turn deployed, unless said so in traits. Then it'll be your enemy's turn. The way attacking works is the enemy can choose a unit they want to attack, and this is where a lot of math comes in. Let's say 2 infantries attack each other, and hits him for 5 damage. He is able to do this since his AP is higher than his AC, doing 5 damage to his health. Obvious, right? Let's say that this infantry is now trying to attack this M22. The infantry tries to make an attack on the M22, but it only does 2 damage. Why? Well, this is because the M22's AC is higher than the infantry's AP. So damage is halved and rounded down. So now that M22 will be attacked for 2 HP and be reduced to 4 health. Remembering health isn't that difficult. I think it can get a little difficult when it comes to infantry divisions because they have a lot of it. But that's basically the basics of combat. But yeah, I hope you like it. But please tell me if you don't. Tell me what you don't. And I will try my best to, help and balance the game. There might be a couple things that are unbalanced and suck, and I understand that it's not going to be perfect the first time, but I will try my best to make it perfect the first time. But other than that, that's it, and thank you for listening. Hopefully I edit this well. I kind of did this on a whim, if you couldn't already tell. My hair's awful. What the hell? I've just realized that. I'm this far in, and my hair's been awful the entire. Why do I look like that? What the hell is this lighting? Have I looked that way the entire video? That's awful. I've been here for almost an hour trying to record this, by the way. I